We just got into Colorado, and check engine light came on. And it popped on right when we started driving this morning. We're only in day 2 of like 16 days of the trip. Got the engine light checked out. It's the EGR valve. That's like just a huge pain in every Sprinter owner's butts. You can find them online for about $400 to $600, but also you can clean them yourselves. So we're gonna try and do that, just sitting here in the O'Reilly parking lot. This right here is the EGR valve. So in theory, it should be a pretty simple removal and fix. So first step is we're gonna have to take these coolant lines off.
That went everywhere.
Got the 4 bolts out. So these are the long guys that you're gonna get out, and then I also, if you want to come up here, this little guy came out of the oil spout, and then you're able to push the spout over, and you have to do that to get down to one of the bolts. There's also an electrical harness hooked in here, but it's just like any other regular electrical harness. You just gotta do the push tab to get that guy out. Oh.
Yay! Hallelujah.
There it is. Woo! Look at how dirty that is.
That is pitch black.
Here. Now we got some trusty brake cleaner. Look at that. Already get down.
Ooh, I can smell that.
Once you got the basic stuff off, get yourself a little toothy brush. Do a little scrub-a-dub-dub in the tub. Can you actually see that it's silver now? Look at that. So that's a big difference. I'll probably go a little bit more just to double check. This valve is the most important because when it gets super dirty, it starts to bind up, and that's why the check engine light comes on. So you can see it seems to be functioning pretty good overall. The only tool you really need for this is a 8mm socket and a pair of pliers to pull the clamps for your coolant off, and then I did use a hammer to kind of tap the valve off. And then for cleaning, I really just used some brake cleaner, a old toothbrush, and a Scotch-Brite pad. Should be ready to go back in. You see how clean that is compared to the pitch black nastiness that it was before. So the main thing that I'm slightly worried about is this gasket is not in the best of shape, and everything is special order for the stupid Mercedes engines. So I'm just gonna have to toss that back on there. Hope that the cleanup job I did will hold it over. So, yep, gonna just toss the valve back on there and hope that fixes it. This will be the moment of truth to see if
I'm nervous / excited.
I know what I'm doing. Check engine light's still on, but
that might take a minute though.
Alright, a little update here. Right now, we're hiking in the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs. As far as the van, when I woke up this morning and we went to drive, I noticed that there was an extra rumbling noise in the engine, and the turbocharger doesn't kick in properly. So right now we're just hiking to forget about that, and we'll deal with that problem later. Alright, it's dark. This is round number 2. We gotta go at this EGR valve one more time. It started to cause some problems with the turbo, so I think it's still getting stuck. So basically I'm just gonna take it out and try and soak it overnight. So hopefully that'll fix it. Into the night we go.
Good luck.
So yesterday I had the initial check engine light come on, but really I had the symptoms for really about 6 months. So this is partly my fault for just waiting up until now. But up until now I didn't really know what to do about the symptoms because they were pretty generalized. The consensus between myself and my buddy is that it's still the EGR. So yesterday, you know, I took that apart, I cleaned the valve as best as I could, but I guess there's still the potential that it's getting stuck. Long story short, the turbo is not able to pressurize properly, and therefore it's not kicking in until I hit about 25,000 to 30,000 RPM. What I'm gonna do is take the valve all the way off again, and this time I am going to let the valve sit in some brake cleaner overnight, and hopefully that will clean it completely. All right, it's morning. So I actually just went ahead and I don't know if it actually proves anything or if it'll have done anything good or bad, but I had read on a forum somewhere that with the EGR valve removed, if you actually try to start the van and it starts up, then that means you have a clog somewhere farther down the line, because that's what's creating back pressure. And so I actually did that. I started it, and it actually started up, but then it died. So that really doesn't tell me anything. But what I do have for this morning is this lovely concoction of brake cleaner. And then I gotta get this guy here cleaned out. So I got as much cleaned out of the port down in there as I possibly could with my little toothbrush, but lucky that we're in a Walmart parking lot, because I had to go bring out the big guns. Oh, this guy. There's so much carbon soot deposits down in that port, I couldn't get it all out with just a little toothbrush. So I'm hoping that with the attachment, I can get down in there and suck out as much of that carbon deposit as possible. I just really want to cover all of my bases, clean everything as well as possible. That way, if I put it all back together and it doesn't work, I at least know that I've tried everything I possibly can. So I think I got everything about as cleaned as I possibly can. So this time around, I put everything back together, but I decided not to. I actually didn't hook the EGR back up in hopes that it just stays closed, because that's better than going through all this process and then having it malfunction again. Moment of truth, round 2. I'm even more nervous this time than last time. So, put the key in. So, I don't think I was able to fix the problem it was having before. There's like this really low growl to it, and I don't know what that is. It almost sounds like there's a leak somewhere. Oh hey, update time. So this is day 3 of Van Fix, our 3rd day in this glorious Walmart parking lot. This is like probably one of the best places I could break down. I think that's why I'm in such a good mood. If this would have happened at home, I would have probably been annoyed and upset and yelling and just being so bad. But I mean, look, so if you were here yesterday, which I'm thinking this is all one video, so I got the EGR valve all put back together. That thing is crispy clean, but it still didn't fully solve the turbo problem. It has been driving better, but then I realized that there's also a problem with the exhaust. So let's get under here. Let's get all the way up. This is not the most flattering of positions. Alright, you still can't see it very well because it's really dark under here. But right here, this part of the exhaust, it's just a flex pipe. It's busted. The broken exhaust pipe here could be creating some back pressure in the upstream exhaust, and that back pressure is interfering with the turbo's pressure, so it's not spooling properly. I don't think I'm able to actually get the pipe out as it stands and replace that section, and the auto parts store didn't have the proper diameter size anyways. But the first thing that we're gonna do is try and patch this exhaust. First thing I'm gonna do is use a stainless steel brush and just brush off any loose particles and stuff, and then I will hit the Scotch-Brite pad with some brake clean and rub the area down. That way it's nice and clean so that we have a good surface for bonding. A couple things that I'm gonna try here. I either have this exhaust system joint and crack sealer. I don't know if this is gonna do well enough all on its own. So that sealant didn't work at all. The thing literally just busted off again.
Oh no.
Round 2 of problem number 2. So this time we just got some regular like exhaust wrap tape, and fingers crossed that's gonna hold us through. So I got the wrap on. I'm a little bit more optimistic about this stuff. It's actually more of like a tape. It seems to be sticking on there pretty well. I guess this is the initial test. I can still hear it a little bit, but it sounds a little better as so far. All right, so it is Thursday.
The exhaust leak should be fixed for the most part. We are doing a test run of it. We just did some pretty decent mountain incline. It does have some issues around second gear, shifting up and accelerating. You gotta kind of floor it all the way to kick it up and get it to shift. But now we're in a place called North Cheyenne Canyon Park, and we're gonna do a little bit of hiking. What do you think? All right, but first things first, before we do any intensive hiking, I'm gonna do my part here to clean up the place. Like, come on, people. You're right next to a visitor center, and there's a trash can 100 feet up that way. Cigarette butts, candy wrappers. All right, now on to the pretty hiking. Update time. We're bugging out of Colorado. It's snowing and nasty, and since we were planning on going to a national park, it's not gonna be serviced at all, so the roads are just gonna be icy and snowy everywhere. Not worth it. So instead, we're just gonna go to Texas.